Hello, and welcome to another Steel Division Divisional overview. And today we're taking a look at the 3rd Canadian Infantry Division. They are a mechanized division, one of the 2 mechanized divisions in game. We have one being the 17th SS Panzer Grenadier. And overall, they're pretty top standard. You got good unit selection in all of the categories. And it's just very well balanced. As a mechanized division, you've got a good amount of tanks, good amount of infantry, good amount of mechanized units, as well as artillery, airplanes, etc. It's just nice all over. So, if you take a look at the slot loadout, you got a lot of infantry and recon, and everything else is pretty standard. You do have a bit lackluster in the tank department. 40 activation points is a real generous number, and you're going to love being able to have pretty much room to maneuver around your cards and just fit in a lot of cards in general. And if you take a look at the income, you got 17 A phase, which is one of the lowest A phase incomes, and you got 120 in B and nice 130 in C phase. So it's low to begin with, but once you get to B and C, it really starts to kick in. This is more of a B phase division, kind of like the 15th Scots in a radio. Even though you only have 70 income points on A phase, a lot of your A phase units are pretty inexpensive, so it's not too big of a hindrance. So don't feel like, because you have low A phase income that you can't attack, because damn well you certainly can. So let's take a look at the actual units. So in the Recon tab, we got a pretty nice selection. You got Recce and you got Scouts, 4-man versus 2-man. The Recce come in a Lynx and the Scouts come in a Universal Carrier. The Lynx is obviously the better choice, as it does have more armor. Yeah, they both only really have a Bren gun, so not exactly great in terms of the infantry killing department. I'd honestly recommend the Recce as it is 5 points cheaper, and really just the armor makes quite a big difference. As that run armor on the Universal Carrier means that machine guns can actually kill you, while Lynx is bulletproof, essentially. So, the gimmicky unit you get for Recon, not really gimmicky, but core run, are the Sniper Scouts. You get 2 of 2 with 1-star veterancy, and then single runs with 2-star veterancy with everyone's favourite hero unit, Leon Major. I mean, he has a bloody eye patch for crying out loud. But snipers, it's the first time we've really covered snipers in this game, and it's not like Company of Heroes where they stay at long range and pick off machine guns, because they actually have a shorter range in an MG42 tripod. Really, snipers are used for suppression enemy units. They're pretty much a machine gun in the same role. In 2 to 3 shots, they can usually pin down like a Grenadier, Pioneer, Panzer Grenadier squad. And it's going to take them a little bit to kill them, because it says bang, reload, but they're really good at stopping enemy infantry from moving up. The downside is this a 2-man squad, and they're going to get revealed, and if enemy sends artillery or any fire support along the way, you are going to lose them. You get some more Recces in Humblers, which are a pretty nice unit to have, and then you got Humbler Mark IVs. The Mark IV Humblers are very good, as it does have that 37mm cannon that you see on a Stuart. So it's essentially a more lightly armoured Stuart recon vehicle. And they don't really have light tanks in this division, it's all medium tanks. So having the Humbler Mark IV is definitely a good inclusion to the deck. B phase, you got more Recce, this time with actual MMG carriers, which are pretty good, and Stuart Recces, which are also very good. And then you have ourselves Stackhound and C phase. They got 2-star veterancy, and the Stackhound is a lovely little, pretty much light tank, or light armoured car tank, but by C phase it's a little bit outclassed by Panthers and Panzer IVs and Stug IVs that you're going to have to be dealing with. So overall, lovely recon loadout. Infantry loadout is also rather lovely. You got a lot of veterancy. Pretty much every single infantry unit has at least 1-star veterancy. Now the main unit are of course your rifles. They're not like the Scottish rifles that have 2 submachine guns, they only have run. So they're pretty standard. They're only 15 points. They're not going to do too well 1v1 against most German infantry, such as Grenadiers, Panzergrens, Pioneers, etc. But you spam them. You spam the rifles, and they do a pretty damn good job. The veterancy does help out a little bit, because their equipment is a bit lackluster. You got Vickers HMGs, which are pretty standard machine guns. I don't like using Vickers HMGs, to be entirely honest, as they just don't suppress shit efficiently. So I skip him. I don't even bother. You may find use in using the infantry machine gun, but I don't think you're missing out too much if you do decide to skip, as you already have some good machine gun options later on, just not infantry based. Now, Stormtroopers are the real Canadian kicker here. These are the real, pretty much special unit Canadians get for their infantry loadout. The Stormtroopers are pretty similar to the German Stormtroopers. You got 6 submachine guns, smoke, and a frag grenade or TNT charge in this case. They're damn good at clearing out towns and fighting other infantry close quarters. Not as good as the German counterparts, as they do lack PPSHs, as PPSH does have 1 more HE per gun compared to MP40s and Stens, but they can still pretty much wipe the floor of anything that dare comes into your forest or town sector. Definitely worthwhile. And then you got rifle leaders. They come in a command carrier, pretty standard, but you get them in ×4, which is a real good just card efficiently. Usually you get your leader units in ×3 in A phase, so having that extra run definitely helps out. It has 2-star veterancy, and the command veterancy that it gives to your other rifles and A phase units is really worthwhile. Also has a Piat, as your infantry do lack the anti-tank capabilities, as really only infantry unit in the infantry slot yet have a Piat. And then we got other rifles, but they got the Kangaroo, and as a Rangaroo, I can highly recommend getting Kangaroos. They're really good. They're expensive at 35 points, but you got a 50 cal machine gun, which gives you quite a lot of firepower, and 4 frontal armor, which is a big deal, because 4 frontal armor is enough to protect you from 20mm autocannon fire pretty efficiently. And because your rifles don't have good machine gun fire support, like you only got Brens and the Vickers aren't that great either, the Kangaroos are going to be filling that role of machine gun fire support, and they're damn good at doing it. Really, just a lovely infantry carrier. Makes 2-5 runs tremble in their cargo carriers. In B phase, you got more rifles. You also got Assault Pioneers, which they're okay. They're pretty standard 6-man flamethrower squad, and then more rifles once again in Kangaroos, and more rifle leaders this time in Command Stewart. And then C phase, you just got Assault Pioneers, some in just a unarmored M3, and then others in a Ram Kangaroo. And if you thought the previous Kangaroo was pretty nutty, this one has 8 frontal armor, as well as an extra machine gun. It is essentially a tank which they cut off the turret. It's very good fire support, once again, enough armor to protect it from light anti-tank guns. It is expensive at 50 points, but you also get an Assault Pioneer squad, which is definitely worthwhile, as Assault Pioneers are definitely useful in the later stages for help clearing out towns and forests, as you're probably going to run out of Stormtroopers, as they die kind of quickly, because Stormtroopers kind of charge in and end up getting shot at. So once again, a nice infantry selection. It really comes down to using the fire support, as the rifles are here just to be shot at, so your other fire support units can clear up the job, such as Stormtroopers, Assault Pioneers, Artillery, Kangaroos, etc. Tank tab. You only got 4 tank slots, but yeah, it's not really bad, as everything is essentially a Sherman. And Shermans in this game are really good. The Ram isn't really a Sherman, but it's kind of a Sherman at the same time. It's a Canadian Sherman. You get 2 in A phase in single cards, and there's also a command tank. Now the Ram has the same armor as a Tiger Run tank. It has a 6-pounder gun. It's pretty damn good. It works well into B and C phase. The one major flaw is like the Boy Firefly. It has no high explosive ammunition, which is a bit of a shame, as you're usually dealing with infantry threats and like soft threats such as Pak-40s and whatnot during A phase against a lot of German divisions. It's not often you're going to be fighting medium tanks, or you're going to be dealing with light tanks, but you have other units that can deal with it. But the Ram 2 is still a solid choice, even against more infantry-focused divisions such as 352nd or 716th, which don't have too many tank threats, except for maybe the Char B one, because it can just sit here and take punishment, as the armor pretty much allows you to shrug off. You can kind of shrug off Pack 40 shots at long range, but Pack 38s are gonna have a nigh hard time actually penetrating your thick Canadian frontal armor. It's a good tanky tank, essentially, just not at great in the fire support role. Highly recommend that you take both in A phase, but that's just me. B phase, you got Sherman Mark III models, you got regular runs, and then you got runs for command. I recommend just taking a regular, as you just kind of want the amount. You just want to get as much bang for your buck activation point and slot rise, as you only got 4 tank slots. C phase, you got more Shermans, this time some packs of 6, and some Fireflies. Not a lot, but still it's a good amount. Just enough Fireflies to get you through. Support tab, pretty awesome. You got flamethrowers. If you don't use stormtroopers, you can use flamethrowers. You got some 2-star ones as well. They're good at pretty much clearing out forest once again, but they're not as tanky as only a 2-man compared to the 6-man squad. Yeah, your stormtroopers are, and they do like the TNT charges. You got dingoes. You got some more in B phase as well. Good, solid, just command vehicle to spread out. Then you got your Canadian special for support tab, the Ross Mark II. A real funny note, so this is a British version of the Ross Mark II, as it has the fuel tanks on the outside. There is actually a Canadian model of this. It has the fuel tanks on the outside instead of on the inside. Funnily enough, the Desert Rats are going to be getting the Canadian model, and the Canadians are going to be using the British model with this Mark II. Just funny how it works out. But nonetheless, it's a basic flamethrower vehicle. It does have a 260 meter range, which is much better than the 100 meter range that your regular flamethrowers give you. They do die pretty easily to machine gun fire, and pretty much anything that has any sort of armored penetration capabilities. But for 30 points, you can't really go wrong. It comes in, it burns a few buildings, and it definitely helps in the town fights early on. It's not like you're spending 60 points for 50 points for the Flammenpanzer half-track. It's a good purchase nonetheless. It's Ross Mark II. You got some supply trucks in A phase. You got them in ×2 per card in A phase, which is a really good value, and then ×3 in B phase. None in C, but really it's enough to get you through. More dingoes, more wasps, and in B phase you got priest DDs, which are really good fire support units. As you'll notice in a trend, the Canadians have lovely fire support units all over. 250 cals and a 1.2 kilometer howitzer. Yeah, it essentially blows up anti-tank guns willy-nilly. Really good vehicle. A very good vehicle. Anti-tank. Pretty standard. You got 6-pounders in A phase and your standard ×3 configuration. And then Piats. Piats are crap, but because your infantry tab lacks Piats to begin with, I highly recommend you take a card of Piats, as you just kind of need the anti-tank capabilities in the town. Rifle leaders can fill in that job, but you kind of want to keep them back, and if you get half-track rush, you would risk that you have the Piats in there. B phase, you got more Piats, this time in the MMG carrier, and then Wolverines. No anti-tank guns in B phase. That's really kind of the gimmick here, but Wolverines, good, that's solid to get the job done. C phase, you got a lot of 17-pounders, you got more Wolverines, and some Achilles, so a very nice anti-tank loadout. A bit lackluster in the veterancy department, but at least you got the penetration with the 17-pounder guns. Anti-air. The big problem with anti-air is you don't have any Bofors guns, so you have no 1 kilometer range capability. It's all 800 meters. Fortunately, a lot of it is very mobile. So you got Staghound AAs, which are cheap. They're not the best, but you get good amount in terms of card efficiency, and it has veterancy as well. And it works as a nice fire support vehicle, you'll notice in the trend. B phase, you got CMP Tripostons. Take him. Just, god damn it, take CMP Tripostons. They're really good. Tripostons are already a very effective anti-aircraft unit, as it just shreds enemy units, or enemy airplanes, like a Flak Verkelin. But because it's on a truck, it's mobile, and so it can stay up with your front rudder show, and you can maneuver it if you're worried about getting counter-batteried. Highly recommend. Shreds planes up to bits. You can get regular tripostons too, but once again, the mobility of the CMP is definitely worthwhile. And in C phase, you got some Crusader Mark IIs, which are pretty good. A nice fire support, again, because they do have some armor and good anti-air as well. So, like I said, not much in the range department, but everything is rather mobile. Artillery. Artillery is really good. You got a lot of selection. Essentially, everything you want. A-phase, you got 2-inch carriers in 25-pounders. 25-pounders are a fantastic A-phase artillery piece, as it can outrange like most mortars. Yeah, you're gonna be facing off against Axis players. It's usually just get regular mortars during A-phase. And then 2-inch carriers. People really underestimate 2-inch carriers, and I did too for the longest time. But 2-inch carriers are really good. They're a little bit expensive, of course, and they don't do much HE damage, but 15 rounds a minute. And short range as well, but 15 rounds a minute. You bring these guys close up to a town, they can stun up Panzergrenz, Pioneers, etc. And it makes town fights pretty breezy when you have 2-inch carriers on the field, as they just suppress everything. And because it shoots so fast, you can suppress a unit in like a few barrages, yet immediately switch target to another run, and then to another run, because it's also short range, so it's not long travel time either. I do recommend giving 2-inch carriers a shot if you underestimate them to begin with. They may surprise you if you can use them effectively in town fights, but they're only really good in close range town fights. B phase, you got 3-inch mortars and then 4.2-inch mortars. Pretty standard mortar loadout. I wouldn't really recommend them, as you're going to get some better artillery units down below. You got some 25-pounders, and you also got some sextons. I highly recommend taking sextons over 25-pounders whenever you have the chance, as it is 30 points more, and you're looking at it, it's like, okay, 120 points, 120 points. You can get a 25-pounder a minute, which is pretty good. But waiting that extra bit longer to get the section is wholly worthwhile in the long run, as the section has over double the ammunition, the starting ammunition, it's mobile, and it has full armor. So it's very hard to counter battery, because it's going to be able to move around, and because it's armored, it's not really going to get killed by high explosive shells being lobbed at from far away. It's either going to take a airplane strafing run, such as heavy bombs, or like a Stuka, HS-129, etc. to kill it, or for a tank to get close enough to actually blow it up. But because it's mobile, you can usually run away before, a big, rush or push manages to push your flank. So, overall, yeah, Sextons, they're great. You got the Ram OP, it's meh, it only has a machine gun, it doesn't even have the cannon available, and it's only 140mm off map, which is a bit lackluster. Wouldn't really recommend. So you got Sextons, and then you got 2-star Sextons. Take 2-star Sextons. Yes, you get less of them, but by God, the fire rate, once you get them to 2-star veterancy, and then you have a support unit, such as a Dingo nearby, to give them 3-star veterancy, you can counter battery everything to oblivion. It's super, 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 super good. Highly recommend it. Highly recommend you take both 2-star Sextons. And then in C phase you got 203mm off map. Pretty good, but you only get them in times run, and I just recommend getting Sextons as they have better presence in the long run. Airplanes is pretty good. So you got some recon, pretty standard stuff, nothing too crazy. You got A phase Spitfires with 1-star veterancy, and you got some B phase fighter Spitfires, and that's really it when it comes to your dedicated fighters. But 125 points, it's affordable, and it gets the job done. Spitfires are pretty lovely. You got A-phase bomber Spitfires, not in just times run, but in times 2 capacity. So really good in terms of activation point rise, and it's very useful for knocking out Pack 40s and other high value targets like artillery guns, 88s, etc. during A-phase. You also got 1-star veterancy, but really I just recommend taking the times 2, as it's not really worthwhile just to go one less for just 1 extra star. You also got an A-phase Typhoon, which drops some heavy bombs, which is also a good choice if you don't want to get Spitfires, need something a little bit more heavy. But really, I'd recommend taking the Spitfires. It's better in terms of activation point rise. And you're not really needing anything that needs two 230 kilogram bombs. Really, I find the Run 10 to be enough with dealing with single anti-tank guns and artillery pieces, which is really going to be the main threat for you in A phase. B phase, you got more Spitfires, more Typhoon bombers, which are definitely worthwhile now, as they do have in ×2 capability, as well as some Mosquitoes. They only have the 110, so it's more light carpet bombing instead of bunker bustering. Then Typhoon rockets, which are pretty decent. Yeah, more Typhoon rockets and more Mosquitoes, but this time with a heavy bomb loadout. So pretty good. You got no anti-tank planes, but you got nice bomber selection from Typhoons to the Mosquitoes, and just enough fighters to keep you afloat. So let's take a look at a deck that I have built earlier. Once again, the deck code will be down in the description below. And yeah, before we get started, I'm going to be changing this Recce out to the Humbler Mark III Recce, as it is just more for having Humblers. So anyway, this is the total loadout, and let's just go through it real fast. So Recon, we got 1 Leo Major, and then 2 Sniper Scouts with 1 Stealth Infantry. Just enough snipers to get you by. You pretty much use them as machine guns, essentially, just to, like, suppress enemy infantry units. You don't... They also act as good recon units, of course, but I like keeping them more towards my infantry, use them as just a backwards machine gun, instead of a, like a recon, flanky, get behind enemy lines, all gillied up nonsense. You got the Recce, where it's a more standard recon unit. The Humbler Mark III is going to give you some good light fire support in A phase, just to deal with half tracks if you're going to have to worry about it. And then a Humbler Mark IV, which is once again a good little light tank, essentially. Not a lot in terms of numbers. You really should be keeping your Recce alive. Don't be getting them into fights. They're really just to sit in a position and spot stuff. Nothing else. Infantry loadout. So we're taking both cards of Stormtroopers, as Stormtroopers are pretty good for clearing out towns. We got 1 of the truck rifles and 1 of the kangaroo rifles in A phase. Highly recommend you take kangaroo rifles in A phase every time, as that fire support helps out a lot. And then rifle leaders. B phase, we got a card of regular truck rifles and a card of kangaroo rifles. And then some assault pioneers of the ram kangaroo in C phase. As you're probably going to run out of Stormtroopers by A, so having the assault pioneers later on, just to give you some extra town clearing capability of the flamethrower troops, is definitely worthwhile. But once again, rifles, meat shield, kangaroos, and everything, Stormtroopers, etc., are really your killer units in this infantry loadout. Tanks. I take both rams, as they're pretty good. They're nice command units as well, and you can keep them alive. They're pretty easy to keep alive in A phase, as long as you're not rushing them in to anything dumb. And they're good at pretty much dealing with any armor threat that you come across. You know, once again, you're lacking fire support, but you already got kangaroos for doing that, so it's not a huge deal. You got just some B phase Shermans just to get you through, and a card of C phase Fireflies. Support, we're taking Rosps, because Rosps are great at clearing out towns. Once again, good fire support. We're taking 1A and 1B card of Supply Truck. It's going to mean that if you're playing a team match, your allies aren't going to love you, as you have a lot of supply trucks to go around. Dingoes for just setting up near your artillery parks and, you know, just regular, pretty much command nonsense. And then a Priest DD for fire support once again. Anti-tank, pretty much one of everything. Piat, 6-pounder, Wolverine, 17-pounder, Achilles, one of everything. Piat definitely helpful early on for dealing with, half-track rasses that come into towns. Anti-air, we take the A-phase Staghound, as you just want something in A-phase in case they try to bring out a surprise Messerschmitt or Focke-Wulf or anything, etc. And they work rather well. They're not the best, but they're good. They're good. We got 2 Tripotion cards, as CMP Tripotions are great, and then some Crusader AA Mark IIs. You may want to take the 2-star runs if you want, but just because you kind of have a lackluster in terms of numbers, I just kind of want to get a lot of AA guns on the field. Just don't really need the veterancy, I feel. Artillery, we take 2-inch carriers for your town clearing capabilities, and then a 25-pounder to mainly for counter battery purposes. If you'll find against a more A-phase heavy artillery division, the 25-pounder is definitely worthwhile with dealing with heavy artillery pieces, mortars, and also with anti-tank guns. Yeah, maybe threatening your ram and humblers. In B phase, you take a card of regular sections and then 2 2-star sections. You will not go wrong taking 2 2-star sections. You just won't. Airplanes, you got an A phase Spitfire fighter and A phase bomber Spitfire. B phase, we've got B phase fighter, B phase Typhoon for your more regular, like dealing with pack guns, individual targets, and then C phase Mosquito. It's pretty expensive. You really want to be using the C phase Mosquito for stopping like enemy tank harassers if they manage to bring in like a huge blob of panthers and tigers and they're kind of rushing down you in one road. The Mosquito is a great unit for stopping assaults like that may end up coming to bear in C phase. So overall, the pros of this division: you have veterancy all over. A lot of veterancy, infantry, recon. It's really good. A really good amount of veterancy. Helps out a lot. You got good town clearing capabilities with rifles, of stormtroopers, ROSPs, priest DDs. Really just fire support. Just fantastic fire support overall. It's really solid. Even the infantry ain't great. You have the fire support that definitely helps out. You have just a solid loadout in terms of slots. You got good activation points. You really have something for every situation. You're not lacking heavily in any category throughout any of the phases. It's pretty decent. 2-star sections. I can't stop blabbering on about 2-star sections. They're just good. They're machine gun artillery pieces. And also, to end us off, for the pro section, they're really just a fun units. Snipers, the rams, ROFs, kangaroos, all really solid, all really fun units to use. They're just fun, really. That's really it. Now, if we go to the cons section, there's not really too many cons, as mechanized divisions are pretty solid overall, just because how they are structured. But the main ones is your infantry loadout, like rifles. You pretty much, in a one-on-one infantry fight, you're not going to have a good time. You need the fire support to really clear towns, to run over fields, as the rifles are really just for meat shield purposes. You have a low phase, A phase income. It's not too bad, as a lot of units are cheap, but it does make it a little bit difficult if you're trying to get like a bomber Spitfire out, or something a bit more heavier, like another ram tank, for example. And, 70 points isn't exactly the best position to be in A phase. And the major one I have to say is you have a rather hard time, or I find personally having a rather hard time, fighting against C phase heavy tank divisions such as Panzer, Trophes S. Because even though you got 17-pounder weaponry, like Achilles, Firefly's a 17-pounder, the holy trifecta of British anti-tank weaponry during Normandy, the problem is none of them really have veterancy. Or not a lot. You can get some 1-star veteran 17-pounders, Fireflies and Achilles, but it's not really good in terms of like card efficiency, activation point rise. So if your opponent does manage to get like a mass of Panthers, it can be rather troublesome to deal with head on. You're gonna have to try and ambush them, use the Mosquito Bomber to stun them up, and just try to keep them at bay, because you don't have 2-star Firefly or Achilles or Guards Armament, which can just spam Fireflies so you end up outnumbering them. You have to be rather conservative with your heavy anti-tank options, as you can't really afford to lose them. But overall, Canadian Infantry Division is a very solid division. And well, let's see how they actually perform in a match. And we are back, and we are doing a 1v1 on Odin. We got Her Robert as the 3rd Canadian Infantry Division, and Taris the 4th as the 16th Luftwaffe Division. If you take a look at Her Robert's deck, I'm going to be entirely honest, I don't like it one bit. The main reason is you only have 2 recon units. That's it. Only 2 of them. Yeah, that's not That's not a lot. You kind of need recon, the important unit being able to spot enemy units. But I think the reason behind this is it's pure rifle spam, essentially. He has one card of B-phase kangaroo rifles, but apart from that, it's all just truck rifles. And so he's probably just amassing them, tacking over enemy line, and waiting for them to be shot at to spot the enemy units, and then repeat or return the favour with fire support. So, rifle spam, it works. It's a little bit lackluster. It's much more heavier in the anti-tank department with a lot of 17-pounder and Firefly Achilles and Wolverines, etc. And you got 2-star sections, which are really an important part. But apart from that, it's nothing else too crazy. I mean, you got flamethrowers instead of Rosps. You got 2 pre-CDs, which is a rather large amount of fire support. I think 2 cards, personally, is a little overkill, but, well, whatever floats your boat. But nonetheless, it's more rifle spam, less recon, heavy anti-tank. That's the best way to really describe Her Robert's deck. As usual, the deck code is down in the description below. So let's take a look at Her Robert right now. So he's going to be opened up with a 25-pounder for long-range artillery support. And fighting Luftwaffe, his main advantage is going to be artillery. As, well, Luftwaffe, it's all about their pretty much 88 mils and Russian artillery guns. So being able to deal with them, you can pretty much knock out Luftwaffe. And the infantry fight's going to be rather interesting. As Her Robert, his infantry aren't as well equipped, even compared to Luftwaffe Jaegers, but they do have higher veterancy, while the Luftwaffe Jaegers have better equipment, really, and the Pioneers as well, but they're demoralized. So they're going to have a bit of a harder time. So it's funny how it's going to be working out. So we'll take a look at Her Robert's initial loadout. He's rifle spamming into the town. That's going to be a very important fight. He's going to be sending some rifles to his forest section here, and some rifles and flamethrowers down south. So rifles all over. And same thing up north. Rifles and flamethrowers. It's rifles everywhere. Which makes sense, as there's not really too many anti-tank threats, or tank threats. There are these FT-17s, but they are a little bit of a joke. I mean, they only have 1 HE on their cannons, so not super scary. And it's a good move for turrets getting these FT-17s on close combat, as they don't have to move that far in the initial deployment, as it is close combat. So you're seeing the first amount of combat in the middle. It's rather close, as you can see, and the Pioneers, with their satchel charges, are going to be able to dish quite a bit of damage against the rifles, but at longer range, rifles with their veterancy and also the command unit is going to help out. And they fare rather well against these unvetted, demoralized Luftwaffe infantry. And he's going to be using that 25-pounder to great effect. He's going to be counter-batterying the FK-288, which is definitely what he should be prioritizing with his 25-pounder. He wants to be knocking out all the artillery units, yet he can, as they are the major threat. Same with 88 mils. He's moving a little bit in the right-hand side with more rifles and rifle leaders, but it's really just a pure infantry slog. But against Luftwaffe, that's really what you want to be doing, as Luftwaffe is once again an infantry slog division. The flamethrower not working too well. A 2-man squad doesn't go too great against a 10-man Luftwaffe Pioneer, especially once they get the satchel charge off. That's really the problem with flamethrower units, is they just die way too quickly. Way too quickly. That's why I prefer using Stormtroopers, as just extra 4 men makes you rather a bit more tanky. But the town fight is going a bit back and forth. I would think it'd be a little bit easier if you did actually have a ROSP unit, but you're just going to be moving in the flamethrower to come in and get in that juicy flamethrower action to try and burn the Luftwaffe Jaeger's array. But it's good use of the 25-pounder. He did kill the mortar. Yeah, it was badgering his infantry. And he's pretty much got the town under his control, and that's really an important part of this map in general. Because once you hold this town, you pretty much got all of this that you can easily cover, as it's essentially no man's land. It's a very defensible position. It also opens up the right flank and the left flank. So going for the town is extremely important, and the Canadians are good at town fights. There is having a little bit of trouble, and as the FT-17s are slowly plugging away at his rifle squads on the flank, and he has no anti-tank. as really his major disadvantage is the lack of anti-tank during any sort of deployment. But he's going to be getting a 6-pounder on the left-hand side, which is more than capable of dealing with those Panzer IIs. I'm thinking if he had a, a Humbler Mark III, Humbler Mark IV unit in his recon, it definitely would have helped out on this left-hand flank and a bit more mobile. But that's what happens when you only take 2 recon units. And he hasn't even deployed him, he's just using his infantry to great effect. And let's see, what can he see? He can't see much. He sees a little bit on the left, a little bit on the right. No eyes on in the middle, Yeah, I think he would have eyes on if he didn't actually have some recon. But he's just going to be defending the town, not going to be trying to rush in through. He's got a good defensive position, a lot of buildings. You got a flamethrower unit in a strategic position, and he is just spamming rifles up the Razoo. And because your rifles are veterancy, it works pretty efficiently, especially against the demoralized Luftwaffe. His Pioneers, I'm going to be getting in a little bit close on his right-hand side. And once I get that satchel charge off, as you can see, the rifles, they take it like a champ, to be honest. But still, it's not going to be enough to deal with the Luftwaffe Pioneers just by themselves. And that's what the Canadians kind of fought at, is just a run-and-run infantry fight. It does have that 6-pounder slowly moving up on the left, so it's going to have a little bit of hard time seeing those Panzer FT-17s, as they are rather well hidden in their apple orchard. And there's what I mean, 25-pounder instantly battering array at the 88mm. Important unit he wants to knock out, as it just provides good fire support against him, and if he was to bring up any tanks. Now, Tyrus is going for the artillery spam, getting another 288, and I believe he's getting 2 more. Yep, he has 1, and he has a second. So 3 artillery guns versus 1 25-pounder. I wouldn't really place your bet on the 25-pounder. So it's pretty much going to be out of action. Even if it doesn't die, it's just going to be constantly suppressed every time it shoots. So it's not going to work all too well. We've got Staghound AA, which I believe is just for some fire support as well as anti-air in the middle. And just rifle spam, working pretty solid. Slowly making his way on the right-hand flank. On the left-hand flank, my bad. On the right-hand flank, he's pretty much been stopped by his Panzer 730s. He's got a Ram 2 over here, which is going to start picking him off run by run. Too bad he can't get a rifle leader or Piat closer to try and knock out the other run. At the same time, it's a Piat. It'd probably miss. These Pioneers have managed to make a pretty good breakthrough in the right-hand center here. But I think once they get spotted, they're just going to get killed, as they can be shot at from outside of the forest. And even though the Ram 2, yes, it can't do any infantry fire support, it's a brick rule, kind of like an Avra first off, and it can at least deal with these light tanks and whatnot. It's a good unit to have the Ram 2, as it really just deters an attack from the enemy on whatever flank you decide to put it on, as they usually don't have enough heavy anti-tank weaponry to deal with its A phase. Left hand, it's not going too well. His rifles don't have any fire support, so they're just going to get shredded away by Luftwaffe Fusiliers, which are actually solid infantry units that Tyrus can bring up. They're not demoralized, so they can work as proper infantry. And Tyrus is going to be bringing in flamethrowers, and he has more flamethrowers. And it's going to be a flame roar. Both sides taking run casualty, but I think with the second one being moved in... Oh, damn! Damn, man's going to kill that one. And he's going to be moving in the flamethrower. Good micro, yeah, just trying to keep it alive. And there's a Cyber Scout. He's going to be pinning down the Luftwaffe Pioneer, and is going to be forced to retreat. And we've got four artillery guns here from Tyrus Mark IV, which is quite a lot of artillery, especially in A phase. But we are hitting B right now, and you know what we can get in B phase? Yeah, that's right, baby. 2-star Sexton. 2 stars. 2 out of 3. It's just... Here's the thing now. These things are going to be pointless against this lone Sexton, as they can't counter battery it efficiently. I mean, they do have a slightly longer range, of course, but they're just not going to be able to stun up that section or effectively put it offline. And we do have a 88mm coming into the middle. And on the left hand side, we do have the second sniper unit, but it's just going to get killed because it's just getting out fire supported. And even though he has hold of the forest, which is good, he can't really make any progress on this left hand side as he lacks the fire support. He does have stag hounds, but it's not going to be enough against an 88mm. And that section is online. It's 3 stars, baby. And just, this is runtime speed. Look how fast it fires. That's rot. 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds, 4 seconds it takes to shoot. 4 bloody seconds. And as you can see, pinned down extremely fast. It's just ridiculous how fast the 2-star section can shoot. We got a big infantry spam here in the center from Tarish, but which may be enough to maybe break through. It's just rifles that one flamethrower unit is really the major kicker in that town defense. And counter battery for Taurus is fallen a little bit short. Yeah, still trying to shoot where the 25-pounder used to be. Here it has fell back, and we got a second section. And investing oil points in sections definitely worthwhile. As once again, he deals with the artillery, he kills the 88th. He essentially wins the match, as Luftwaffe doesn't have much else apart from that. Sniper, getting some good sniper hits. As you can see, they stun up infantry extremely fast. They don't do a good job at killing them, but it's just the stunning them is what makes them so bloody good. This FT-17 is going to come in and be able to return some fire. Stag counter A, he's really just using them as fire support, but for 50 points, having 250 cals and a Browning M1919 is a good price. It's a good price. His sniper is getting pinned out, and he's going to lose his last recon unit, it seems. Which is not good. Not good. Which is why you don't just have 2 recon units, really. Unless he can, reverse back in time. We've got the Ram 2 being brought up. And that is going to pretty much easily kill FT-17. He has no hope in hell of penetrating him with that 4 AP. I do have a snug F8 coming on the left-hand side, which is just going to be very useful, as the Canadians, no real tanks over here. The 6-pounder got killed, so it's definitely going to help with his German push on the left. And he only has rifles. Rifles need fire support, and this is why he's losing the left-hand flank. He has no fire support. The artillery's helping out in middle. If it's helping out on the left-hand side, it's understandable why he's not using it on the left-hand side. He's trying to deal with his push in the middle, and the artillery on the far out reaches, which is definitely the more important target. He also has a heavy mortar, which is pounding array at the infantry as well, as they're all very close together. It's a little bit silly having all his pioneers out in the open like that, when he really should be using them to attack and trying to get into that town ASAP. Because once they get into that town, the rifles are really buggered, as they just don't have the firepower against 2 submachine guns, a machine gun and satchel charges, and an actual good machine gun is what I'm talking about here. On the right hand side, just, the basic fire support, command carrier, helping out dealing with the Führer. The tanks are dead, and the Ram 2, he's been very passive with it, just popping it in and out. Makes sense. He doesn't know if there's an anti-tank gun here, or anywhere. I mean, a Pak-40 can kill it pretty easily at this short of a distance, so you might as well just keep it back. Heck, there may be a Panda Strike squad here, for example, so you just want to, play it safe, play it easy. The side counter giving good fire support to the pioneers, try to crest over to the other side of the forest. And yeah, the artillery pounding array at Taris's forces. And I really just want to emphasize just how important the fire support units for the Canadians is. As when he's bringing in the fire support is when he's winning the battles. As the rifles by themselves can't win battles. Even if they have high veterancy, they're really just a high veterancy meat shield. And you see the sniper unit on the left hand side did survive. I did miss, I do apologise. And we've got the 88mm and a Pak-38 on the right hand flank, which are going to be stopping that Ram 2 from moving up, and the 88 is going to be providing good fire support. And it's rather funny because Terrace hasn't even brought out a single plane. And same with Higher Robot, both sides playing a rather exclusive ground game. We finally have a tank on left-hand side. We've got a pre-CD and a Wolverine, which is going to be the ultimate Rombo combo here. The Wolverine's going to kill the Stug, and then the pre-CD is just going to be able to kill everything else. And pre-CDs are a pretty good counter against 88mm. He's not going to be using it against an 88mm left-hand side as it is dead, but it has the same range. And usually you can stun it up the 88mm first before the 88mm can kill you, especially with how the crit system works now. So really, really good anti-88mm unit. And as you can see, just pounding away at Luftwaffe Jaeger. Bringing in a Wolverine, that Stug F8 really has no chance. It's not even going to be retreating, and it blows up. And killing that tank is good, as Luftwaffe just don't actually get a lot of tanks to begin with. He's getting a mortar unit on the right hand side, and as you can see, 2-star sections. They are just constantly firing. As you see, the battery, the artillery units has really dwindled down for Taris. The two in middle are pretty much dead. He's now finishing up the guys on the left hand flank, and he only really has one online for Taris shooting. The other one is not even firing. And once again, he knocks out Luftwaffe artillery. He's going to have a good time. And that's exactly what he's doing with the Saxons. And I don't think he's even resupplied the Saxons. Okay, he must have. But still, the 90 rounds that the Saxon gets is super useful. As it means that you're not, you don't have to rush to get a supply unit. You could usually wait 5 to 10 minutes before you have to get a supply unit for your Sexton. You're at 3-star veterancy, because it's going to be firing a lot, you still kind of want to get one just in case. But as you can see, the 396 completely offline now, as it is just pinned down. Too bad he doesn't have any accurate eyes on. He's just shooting pretty blind. And once again, here Robert, he has decent eyes, even though he has no recon. The middle, he can spot everything as Luftwaffe Pioneers are attacking. Left hand side, kind of blind, and same with the right. I still really disagree with the lack of recon that he's got, but hey, each their own. And he is winning by that slow +1 point advantage. He's not getting any big territory, but he's just holding his line. He's slowly dwindling away at the enemy forces with his artillery, and yeah. More infantry on left hand side, just more rifle spam, and really he has pretty much an infinite supply of rifles. And if I tally it up right now, we got like, how many rifles in his deck? If I can actually do some math real fast. I'm doing math, like 46 rifle units overall. That's a lot of rifles. That's a lot of rifles. You're really not going to be running out. There, once again, the main disadvantage, he does lack, the more specialty units such as Stormtroops or so Pioneers, which are very useful in close range sound fights. Just because he has the artillery spam, it's not that big of a deal. And the right hand side, he's slowly pushing through. Rifle charge, just making progress. And because he has the fire support backing him up, he's just being able to knock out the infantry and just counter battery and the enemy artillery. He has brought up some more, and again, the Saxons are going to be getting some resupply, getting a little bit closer, so they can start shooting more rifles in the middle, and it's just rifles all over. It's just a slow +1 point advantage. Got a mortar on the left, and moving up Saxons as well to get a better shot. And really, at this point, Taris, he doesn't have any momentum. A lot of his infantry has been killed. He can't really make any pushes anywhere because this is too many rifles in every flank. It's just going to bulk him down if he tries to do a push. He can't easily clear them out. And every time he shoots the artillery, he can just counter battery. He just gets counter batteried by the Sextons. And even though the Sextons did get, counter batteried and forced to fall back, they fall back faster because it's a mechanized unit, and it's not really in any risk of actually dying. Taris surrenders, and there's a GG. And I just want to take a note, just the kill difference here is huge. Because her Robert, I mean, let's take a look at history. And he pretty much just loses rifles that entire match. He keeps his tanks alive, and he loses lots of rifles, but they're only 15 points each, which isn't that big of a deal. And once again, that was, in his playstyle, it was, pure rifle spam with, just maximum fire support in terms of artillery. And I just want to hammer in once again, the fire support that the Canadians get is extremely important. That's really how you win, that's how you push, is that you have the rifles take fire, and the fire support from the DDs, to the Wolverines, to the Sextons, to the Sniper Scouts, to the Ross, you get the gist. Kill everything. And, yeah, I mean, just looking at it, Sextons didn't get that much in terms of kill numbers, but look, that knocked out 2 artillery pieces, which is extremely important, yeah. And the other section here knocked out an 88 and an artillery piece once again. And that's really what he used them exclusively to kill the artillery. And against Luftwaffe, that's exactly what you need to do. So overall, Canadians, great deck. Really good. Just solid all over. No real major weaknesses in any category. But they're really a fire supporty division. I think that's going to be the name of the day for this division. But nonetheless, I hope you guys found this guide useful. And as usual, please just take it easy.